Hey guys, how you doing? It's been a month. I'm back. Took a break. Um, I'm just thinking about Miles Morales. Like the new, I saw a new Spider-Man movie, Across the Spider-Verse. Really good movie. Really, it leveled up. Really, like Into the Spider-Verse was like the introduction, but it was still that introduction, that Into the Spider-Verse, basically showed animation, the whole animation film industry, that we can level up and we can do different types of animation that's also similar to the Spider Verse, similar to Into the Spider Verse, but it took inspiration from Into the Spider. It took inspiration from Into the Spider Verse. And it just changed. That Into the Spider Verse changed the animation film industry. You could watch Puss in Boots. You could watch trying to think about Puss in Boots is the main one I'm thinking about right now. Puss in Boots, different films that took on that inspiration from from Into the Spider-Verse and put it into their own thing. It's changed a bunch of things in the game. Also, Across the Spider-Verse is like expanding the story a little bit more. You're used to Miles being comfortable with his identity, right? Being comfortable with who he is, and being comfortable with not only who he is, but his identity as Spider-Man, right? Like, I think also, like, before I go into Miguel O'Hara, he's comfortable with actually, he embodies what a Spider-Man is. Like, if you could save somebody, regardless if it's a canon event or not. Spoilers for that. Oh, by the way, spoilers for this whole topic. But first, the movie is really good. I'm gonna go with non-spoilers first. The film was like the animation was even better than the first one. It just topped itself back. It leveled up. What I mean by level up, it was like it took one notch before. I said, no, you guys think you can mimic, like, you think you guys can mimic us, or try to mimic? No, we can't be imitated. We can't. There's no imitation. We'll take it as, oh, imitation is the best form of flattery. We'll take it as imitation is the best form of flattery, but we're top dog here, bro. Like, you can't imitate nobody, but you can't imitate us. We're the top dog. It's all well and good, and it's just so. It's like it's well good and it's well intentioned, but it's the story and the character development that I'll get to towards the middle part of this video, or towards the end. But at least this movie is good. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Do not see it. My mistake was when it came out, I went to go see it right away. That theater was electric, right? But it was full as could be. You had to sit on the floor. I finally got a chair into the middle part of the movie, but it was so, everybody was so I think that weekend it was so busy. They had a concert outside of SoPac. It was so busy. It was just so, that theater was just full of people, just for the Spider-Verse people, just for the Spider-Verse. Kids were watching it, teenagers, myself, young adults, people who are like, that's one guy I used to go to my church. He watched it. Shout out to you. That was like, it was so discombobulated because it was so disorganized, whatever. But it was good. But it's just like, the movie was filled, so don't see, my warning to you, do not see the movie on its first time showing. Don't do that. Wait until it's been out in a theater in a while. Been in a theater for a while, then go see it. You know. And I also don't think, even since during COVID, it's like, you go the movie theater is perfect, because I'm going on a little tangent here before I talk about everything else. Be aware, like, there's going to be a bunch of people in the movie theaters now. That's why I say wait until it's like dies down, the hype dies down, and everything just died. You know, don't see the movie when it just comes out, because first of all, you're probably not going to get a room. You're probably not going to get a seat. And second, it's going to be full of people. When if you're really scared of COVID, somebody might or might not have COVID, and you don't know who that person is. So just don't do that for yourself. Also, you can just wait until it gets on gets on digital, whatever. If you're not a big movie theater person, you just wait until it's on digital or Disney Plus or whatever. I don't think it's gonna be on Disney Plus. Alright, digital. When it gets on digital, or Netflix, whatever. The movie went. Also, I want to say, the movie is like the story is still in Miles' school, right? That's not a spoiler. You see that in the trailers. Like he's still in school. And the guy I made this video before about the guidance teacher. I don't think Miles is lying, but as superheroes, right? As superheroes, you hear that if a supervillain wants to get at me, they'll go through his love interest. They'll go through his family. So that's a common thing that she probably doesn't like either know or care about. You know, this is another theory I want to talk about real quick. I watched these guys on it was on YouTube Shorts. These guys talk about theories and video games and stuff. So in one theory these two guys were talking about was Spider-Man, like Miles, is not really Spider-Man. He's just a kid, and he's just creating this narrative that he is Spider-Man, and this is what he deals with. This is like his story. This is him going forward as this character. But you realize this is him. This is his how he sees the world, right? How he's dealing with it. It's just very interesting to see that, but it's also a fictional story. But it's like that's a cute theory. It's like basically the theory says Miles is a normal kid, and he's just writing a college essay that deals with Spider-Man, and he's putting himself as the character of Spider-Man and seeing that this is my identity. This is who I am, and this is like a little story he's putting it forward as. This is who I am. This is what my spaces are, And I think that's a real good theory. Okay, now on to the spoiler. This is a spoiler review. This is where the spoilers come on. Click off if you don't want to be spoiled. But here's the spoiler part of the review. And one more thing. The villains are kind of cool. The Spot is kind of cool, as you can see in the trailers. He's kind of cool. He's kind of like, he feels like people are making fun of him like he's the villain of the week. I don't think he is. Because he's powerful within himself. Because he can go across different dimensions by himself. No device, no device on his wrist. It's just him doing it. So that's really powerful. And who said and I don't think Miles takes him seriously in the first half of the movie. And it's the first half of the movie, and I just think that was really that progressed the Spot's villainy and his arc of being an antagonist, because I'm not being taken seriously. I'm not taking it as a threat. I'm not taking it as as a threat to be dealt with or a threat to be taken care of. And I think Miles is taking this nonchalantly, and he shouldn't be taking it nonchalantly. This guy is bringing all these going through different portals and stuff. That's not a normal thing. And another thing that people are bringing up that's really funny, I also think it's funny. He's finding a spot in this cafe, and it's Starbucks type setting, and everyone's not responding. Everyone's going on their phone, taking it. Oh, this is a regular thing. So it's okay, that's weird. If it's a superhero, a supervillain and a superhero are fighting, I would kind of be okay, let me get out of the way. I can get this coffee tomorrow. You feel me? I'm not gonna try to get killed over a supervillain and a superhero trying to fight. That was funny. Gwen's story. No, let me start with Miguel, who was kind of the background. I think who kind of pushes Miles' story a little bit more. It's just okay. Miguel's story is basically he went to another universe to basically take this alternate universe story, alternate universe story, alternate universe Miguel's life, because you know he's basically wants to be with his girl and his kid. He can't because they're he doesn't have he can't do that in his universe, right? And I'm like, okay. So then he kind of like, this is cool. He wants to have his family or whatever, and he sees like this Miguel is dead. This version of this Earth, this dimension's Miguel is dead. Let me take his place and let me be the father to this kid and his wife. He wants that, but in turn, he creates a kind of a traumatic situation for him, where his Earth and that Earth, Spider-Man, all that Earth dies because of Miguel's mistake of replacing another dimension's person's life. But I'm like, well, Miguel, that's your story. That's because you kind of did it maliciously and selfishly. Replace another dimension, replace an alternate universe's version of you, family, to replace them. But they probably knew that they just buried their Miguel. So whoever this person isn't Miguel, isn't their Miguel, right? So I'm like, you would think they probably figure out, okay, this is not daddy. Like the wife at least would be like, this is not my husband. This is a different version of my husband. They'll probably think, like, or this is what I think. They probably didn't see the body, or he was buried somewhere off seas, and he was a soldier. I don't know. I don't think he was a soldier, but I think he just didn't. I don't know. For some reason, that kind of weirded me out. Miguel will replace somebody else who's already deceased. So, like, if you see a deceased person, you get to see the body. You get to see him being buried. That doesn't get hide. That doesn't get hidden from you, right? That doesn't disappear. Like, you buried him. So why did the wife think this is my husband Miguel, and then they think, okay, this is weird. This is a little bit chilling. This guy who appears to be my husband, which my husband in this universe died. So who is he? Like no one questioned that, but I guess they couldn't really dive deep in it because it's more of Miles and Gwen's story, and they kind of took control. I think Miguel had trauma from that because he felt like, oh, I was being selfish, I was being unnecessarily selfish and trying to find something that I can have, or something that I want that I don't have on my own universe, and they find it in a different universe. And I'm like, bro, that's trauma that you have, and you're blaming yourself, and you think every kind of event has to go according to plan. It can't be averted. It can't be stopped. It has to be. This event has to happen, no matter what. And if it's a canon event, it has to happen. And I feel like, okay, bro, like your story is different from theirs, and you're not acting like a Spider-Man either. Because, like, if it was real Peter Parker who was like, oh, canon events, bump that. Like, if somebody's close to me, if someone's dying or going to die, and I can prevent that, I'm going to find a way to prevent it. A real Spider-Man, a real Peter Parker, or a real Spider-Man would say, this is like, no, we gotta save lives, whether if it's a canon event or not. And one thing I don't really like about Miguel O'Hara, like, he's so hardcore about canon events are sacred. You can't do different things with canon events. You can't change canon events. I'm like, okay, cool, but you're not Spider-Man though. Like, you're not acting like a Spider-Man. Like, no matter if it's a canon event or not, Peter Parker or Spider-Man is going to save the day. Is going to save that person regardless of what happens. And you figure out the rest. And I think Miguel O'Hara is dealing with that trauma in a very destructive way. Dealing with the trauma of seeing another universe die. And it's like, yo, Miguel, bro, get therapy, talk about it to somebody. You're being very destructive to yourself and everybody around you. Now I'm going to talk about Hobie Brown. Hobie Brown. Spider-Man Punk is a chef kiss. is a Chef Kiss. That character is awesome. You need to watch that character more. You need to keep an eye on that character in the next film because he was awesome. He was awesome. He was killing it in the movie. Miles is the main character, but Hobie just was like, nah, this is mine. He was like, nah, that's my show now. I'm the captain now. You get what I'm saying? That's what that was Hobie saying. That was so cringe. But Hobie, that's what Hobie's saying. And Hobie is like, Hobie was saying like, oh, like Hobie's character basically is like he killed his Harry Osborn, right? He killed his Harry Osborn because Harry Osborn in his Earth, on his universe, was evil, took over the whole planet, was like really being a dictator or controlling other people, and I'm like, Punk, and it was just crazy. Punk, Spider-Punk was like, just like, no, not having it, killed him, and that's it. So I can't wait to see that character again, because what is his connection? My question is, did he smash? Did he have relations with Spider-Gwen? Did he have relations with Spider-Gwen? And Spider-Gwen didn't say, hey, this is one of my old flames to like Miles, because I think Miles and her are trying to get into a relationship. So like this would kind of be the point to be like, hey, this guy right here is my old ex. He's my ex that I'm still cool with somehow. That's whatever. But they're probably not gonna talk about it, but they're probably gonna go through that towards the end. Gwen's story. Gwen's story was kind of about identity. Whatever you want, it's like I don't think it's trans identity. I tried like her being trans identity, but I think it could be a trans allegory. But at the same time, I don't think it's gonna be a trans allegory either. I just think it was like identity blanket identity. Whether you wanted to think it's trans, whether you want to think it's like just about identity. It's just about identity to me. Like it's like whoever you are, whoever you identify as. Who you like not telling your parents like, hey, I'm this. Like some people, like for me, like anime, it was hard for me to. I told my parents I'm into animation. They knew I was into animation, but it's hard to tell my friends when I was in middle school, hey, I'm into anime. Are you guys into anime? It's hard for me. Not as an adult. It's like weird as like 27-year-old adult at work talking about anime, but it's like not talking about it, but like asking people, are you into anime? Because it's like they'd be like, oh no, and sometimes people might give you a bad reaction. So I'd rather not discuss about it because you don't want to get that bad reaction. It's like, oh, you're 27 and you still watching anime or something like that. I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with that. So I was like, we talk about it. Also, I think Spider-Gwen, I think we're sure to talk to her dad a little bit more. Like, I've heard the scenes of her dad were fire. Did you guys know, like, people are down, like, I'm gonna segue from this talking about the show, but like, people are rating the show, they had high ratings before, but Letterboxd people are downvoting it so it doesn't get too many high votes, right? Too many upvotes. Now they're downvoting it because it's getting too many high votes, whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's unnecessary. It's still a good show. You just hate liking it. You just hate watching it now because it's like I hate watching it. You don't want to get it too high. But I'm like, it's not. I'm not saying. Also, I don't think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man show. I think No Way Home was pretty good, but it's a good Spider-Man animation. It's good Spider-Man animation to kind of step off and see as an example of this is where we should go, or this is what this should be about. My rating for the show, I'll give it like 10 out. It was 10 out of 10, I think it was to me, because the story was good. Miguel was a good sub-villain, like sub-antagonist. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. All right, peace. Oops.